Hey Nabia, so let's all close our eyes and take three deep breaths and let's ground. So we all might have had a tough day, difficult day. We all might have different problems, various anxieties, but for the next 1 hour, let's keep all of them aside and let's focus on the scriptures. Okay, so take three deep breaths. Let's ground. Inhale, exhale. So I have my beads. So whoever have your beads, just take your beads with you, or just you can fold your hands and we can chant for 1 minute, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Okay, so you can start chanting. So let me show my beads. Just give me 1 second. So if you have the beads, so you can use your bead bag and keep the index finger outside. So we don't use the index finger for chanting. Okay, and you keep the beard. You can even hold the beads like this, and you can pull your beads inwards. And the first bead is your Krishna bead, and you start from the bigger bead here, and you start pulling it inwards. Okay, so let's all chant for a couple of minutes before we start the session. Okay, so you can close your eyes and you can ground yourself. Okay, let's start the chanting now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Some of you can open your eyes. So, welcome to today's class on Bhagavad Gita. So, we'll always begin the chanting from the next session for like a couple of minutes. So, have your bead bags, and also I recommend you to have your Bhagavad Gita copy as well. So, it's very, very important so that we'll get into the habit of reading the scriptures. Okay. So, thank you for all the voting in the previous session. So, we'll be dealing with crafting resilience, how to deal with day-to-day obstacles based on the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So, what exactly is resilience, right? So, that's exactly what we'll be seeing. And so, let's pay our gratitude before we start going through the scriptures. You can repeat after me. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री विसारि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. All right. So we'll be dealing with specific Bhagavad Gita verses which talks about resilience. So in this particular session, we'll see resilience from an awareness perspective. Now, say for example, all of us, we have problems when we deal with adversity in our life, right? So, for example, things around us keep on changing every time, and we find it very, very difficult to adapt to the changes. So, what makes it really, really difficult for us to adapt to this particular change? Why are we not able to accept this particular changes? So if you closely see, we are able to observe that things are changing, right? Everything around us keeps changing continuously in this world. Say, for example, from the time you have grown up and until today, if you see, things have been changing drastically. So to understand that something is changing around us, we need to have a particular reference point. So only if we have a reference point which is not changing, then only then we'll be able to understand that things around us are changing. So what is that particular reference point that we are talking about? So that reference point is nothing but the soul, right? Your consciousness. So what is the symptoms of the soul? The state of being aware. That's a symptom of the soul. Consciousness, the presence of consciousness. Consciousness is nothing but the state of being aware. So that is called as the soul. So when we say awareness, so awareness of what? So a lot of people, right, like they will have a purpose in life. So the more awareness you have towards whatever purpose you have in life, that will determine how you are able to perceive reality. So when the reality around you keeps changing, and when we see certain things as problems and certain things as not problems, that is completely depending on the level of consciousness or the vision or the clarity in which you perceive reality, right? So for a lot of people, if you say no, we all need an object of satisfaction. So basically, if you go really closely and start observing, so we all need an object of satisfaction, and we derive that particular satisfaction from our purpose. And the moment when we are not getting satisfied, that is when you start seeing things as problematic. You start becoming anxious, anxiety hits in, depression hits in, and your desires won't get fulfilled. And you start becoming angry, and anger makes you blind. right? And your intelligence gets confused. So what Bhagavad Gita teaches us, so when you say purpose, right? For some people, you will have purpose the highest purpose will be job. For some people, they can find higher purpose in music. And for some people, it will be in sports. And for some people, it will be in family. And now going beyond that, right? So you're trying to understand your higher purpose, your highest objects of satisfaction, which determines how happy you are. And some people beyond that, they start thinking about their community. And some people, they start thinking about the overall nation. And some people start thinking about humanity, right? And what Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says is the topmost state or the perfect state of consciousness is understanding who we actually are. We are not this particular body and we are this Atma. And the highest purpose of Atma is to understand who God is and who is Krishna and what is our relationship with Krishna and how are we going to revive that particular relationship with Krishna. So that is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So when we start understanding this concept of identity from a Gita perspective, so basically our mind will go to a calm state. And now when you will start getting purified is only when you start implementing things based on your understanding, right? So appreciation is different from realization. So at the mind level, we start understanding things and we appreciate things. But only when your intelligence is purified, you start applying those things in your day-to-day life. So that's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So you need to invest your mind, you need to invest your intelligence, and you need to invest your heart. So these are the three steps which Krishna talks throughout Bhagavad Gita, where with different yoga practices, how you invest each of these elements. So when you say invest, basically it also talks about purifying your mind, purifying your intelligence, and purifying your heart. So today we'll be seeing a particular verse on what Krishna talks about identity and how we perceive things depending on the topmost purpose. So when we say object of satisfaction, right? So when we define that particular object of satisfaction, which means we are cultivating a relationship with that particular object, right? Be it a thing or be it a person. So when you cultivate that particular relationship, then you start expecting things to function in a certain way. And when that expectation is not fulfilled, then we see things as problematic. We are not able to understand or we are not able to accept something which is unchangeable. So adversity or building resilience is nothing but dealing with adversity or dealing with things which are we see as obstacles, dealing with things which is unchangeable. So first we need to understand that when you take this human form of body, everybody goes through basically three types of sufferings. Okay, in Sanskrit terms, it's called as Adhyatmik, Adibhautik, and Adidevik. Adhyatmik is suffering due to your own body and mind, right? Your body gets old, you fall sick, and your mind keeps changing. Your mind keeps agitating you with a lot of desires. So any problem that you have, the property of the mind is it actually magnifies that particular problem. So what we need to understand is a problem can always be treated as a passing cloud or a permanent member. You will always have problems in your life. Changes are always going to come. In this world, everything is a duality. You either be happy or you be sad. You be happy for a certain amount of time and you be sad for a certain amount of time. So this duality is not going to change. So, but how we are reacting or how we are positioning ourselves when happiness comes, we should not get carried away with happiness. At the same time, we should not get sucked up in sadness. How we are being equipoised during that particular situation, how we are maintaining mental equilibrium during those situations. So, the more your awareness is of who you are, of your identity, the more your intelligence is purified depending on what your day-to-day life is. Because if your intelligence is pure enough, your practices will start reflecting in your day-to-day life. The way you see things will start reflecting in your day-to-day life. And if your intelligence is purified and if you are actually practicing, then you start observing the changes inside your character. You start seeing quality like humility. You start becoming humble towards everybody. You start becoming tolerant towards problems. So what building or crafting resilience means is to understand that every situation that life puts us into is for us to reorient our life in a different direction. When I say every situation, it's an every problematic situation. So in every situation or problematic situation, we can evaluate our strengths, we can evaluate our limitations, and at the same time, you can also be aware of what opportunities that are lying in front of us. So no emotion is a good emotion. So for you to understand this particular situation, right? Whenever you are put in a difficult situation, the way the mind works is it starts with a volcanic eruption of all the emotions depending on your perception of that particular object of satisfaction. So when you are stuck in a particular problem, then you need to really identify, okay, what is the object of satisfaction that we are dealing with? Number one. And we need to understand where are our desires coming from. So whether the impetus, the driving factor of that desire, whether it's material or spiritual. So in order to clearly bifurcate this, purification of mind, purification of intelligence, and purification of heart is really, really important. So the more you're aware of these concepts, then the more clarity you will get when you are in difficult circumstances. So the most problem with the current modern education or the modern teachings is for all the material problems. So we are able to understand the difference between matter and spirit, right? So we are not this particular body which is made up of matter. We are eternal spirit souls. We are Atma. So for all the material problems, we have been taught to find material solutions. But what Prabhupada says, or what Krishna says in Gita is, for material problems, one must start identifying spiritual solutions. Because if you identify material solution, that solution is finite. It will last only for a specific amount of time. And again, tomorrow, you need to keep refining that particular solution. And that solution is not going to be foolproof always. But for material problems, if you find material solutions, so technically that can be called as, say, a healthy distraction, right? But if you really want to fix the problem, then you need to get into the root of the problem. Because in the first place, why are we seeing that particular situation in front of us as a problem? What is our understanding of reality? So, coming back to the three things. So, the first thing we are talking about is our body and mind. So, right now we spoke about mind, how mind magnifies things and how we perceive problems. And the second thing is this is adhyatmic, problems arising, disturbances arising because of our body and mind. Now, adi bhautik, disturbances arising due to other living entities, other people around us. You cannot avoid, right? So, even say, for example, even a single mosquito, that single mosquito can cause you disturbances. So leave all other big things, right? A small mosquito can disturb your peace of mind, or a small fly that can disturb your peace of mind. So that is second. And the third thing is natural calamities. You won't be able to avoid. Everybody who has taken birth as humans has to go through all of these three. So that is the basic understanding. Now, when we are put in that particular situation, now take the example of salt and water, which I gave in during the session of chanting, right? So if I take a small glass of water and if I put 1 spoon of salt, and when I taste it, it'll be like too salty. Now, if I take a big glass of water, if I make that 30 ml into 100 ml and put the same 1 spoon of salt, it will taste less salty. Now, if you take a jug of water and put that 1 spoon of salt, then you will not be able to even feel the taste of the salt sometimes. It will be really, really less salty. It becomes insignificant. So compare that water to our state of purification of consciousness, right? Or your self awareness. When you say self awareness, it is being aware of your real identity. Who am I? I'm not this particular body. I'm not this hand. I'm not this leg. I'm not my mind. I'm not my brain, right? I am eternal spirit soul and I am a part and parcel of Krishna. So any problem that is coming in front of us, the ideal way to perceive that problem is, okay, fine. Now I have to go through this particular situation. I have an opportunity to reorient my life in a particular direction. And I have something to learn out of this particular situation. So how quickly you adapt, how quickly you accept that particular problem or you accept that particular situation, and how long you can tolerate it. So these two determines whether your consciousness or your mind is getting purified or not. So when you are put in a particular situation, if you are getting disturbed easily, if you're not able to accept that, say for example, like loss of a particular person, that is unchangeable. So what we can do is we can either go back to the past or be in that particular problem or be in the memory of that particular person, which we need to do actually for some time, but not always. For how long you're doing that, that is in your hands. So until you integrate that particular problem, which is called as accepting, right? And the level of tolerance is for you to integrate that, how quickly you're able to integrate, and all that time you'll have to hold your mental balance. And so we either keep going to the past, or which we cannot change, which is unchangeable, or we keep going on the other extreme, which is like future. How is my life going to look like without that particular person? So, really, at some point in time, you'll have to start addressing that particular emotion which is driving you to make decisions. Sit with that. You need to reflect, and then you'll have to make a choice. So, how quickly you are able to adapt to change in situations, that determines how successful you can also be in your life. So, the approach, now that we understand what is a problem and what actually is the problem with the problem, the problem with the problem is it magnifies things to a greater extent, which is actually not the reality. So, if our mind, an agitated mind, will see everything as a problem. I also gave another example, right? If you're, how will you know whether your mind is healing or not? So, you have a wound in your hand. Now, if you press anywhere surrounding the wound, that is not going to hurt you, right? And only when you press on the wound, only then it will hurt. So, how are you going to relate to this? right? So if your mind is not healed, then everything around, right, you will start identifying faults. What everybody around you is saying, it will be provoking anger, it will be provoking, say, what, disturbing your mental equilibrium. So all that is prone to happen. So these are all the symptoms that, okay, basically your mind has not settled down. It has not reconciled some particular event or some particular situation or occurrence. So because of which everything around you will seem problematic. So this is how mind magnifies the particular problem. So choosing that particular problem to be as a passing cloud, or choosing that particular problem to keep it as a permanent member, that is completely in our hands. So for material problems, if you find material solutions, which is technically a healthy distraction, that's it. But at the same time, for material problems, if you find a spiritual solution, then you actually grow. That is called as growth. A growth is measured by how you purify your mind, how you purify your intelligence, and how you purify your consciousness from a spiritual standpoint and not from a material standpoint. Okay. So now that we understand this concept clearly, so let's go into a couple of verses in Bhagavad Gita, and let's also see how actually to read Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So we'll be seeing two verses, chapter 2, verse number 13 and verse number 14. So whoever has Bhagavad Gita with you, you can open these two verses. So I'll start presenting my screen. Give me 1 second. I'm using a different machine to present. All right. So, yes, hope you all can see my screen now. Yes, so this particular verse. So when you take Bhagavad Gita, so this is the online website where you can find all of Prabhupada's books. Okay, this is the online website. It's called vedabase.io. So when you go, the first screen is your library, and you will find all the books here. All of Prabhupada's books, you'll find it here. So we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. You can have your physical copy, and you can go to chapter 2.
Are they free or we have to pay for the subscription?
All this online is free.
Okay.
All this website are free. And you can also read with a physical copy as well. In chapter 2, it will give you all the text translations. Okay, and we are seeing text 13 and 14 today. So when you click on the text, so this is how actually every text in your Bhagavad Gita physical copy will look like. It is always a good habit to sit with the books, because basically when we start using our laptop or an electronic device, the attention span of our mind is very, very low. So we are giving chances to get distracted. So the way we have to treat scriptures, so basically scriptures are like our mother. My mentor says this. It's a very, very deep realization. So whenever there is a problem, right? So for material problems, we are finding spiritual solutions. So Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana. So all the scriptures are considered to be like our mother. So when we go with the problem to a mother, we know that we will be pacified. Even if your mother doesn't say anything, going and lying in the lap of your mother will give you some calmness in your heart. It will give you some calmness in your mind, right? So when you open the scriptures, when you have a problem, so scriptures will give you particular insights. It will purify your mind. It will give you clarity to deal with your current situation in life that you're facing. So that is how we'll have to see the scriptures when we say scriptures are like our mother. So what we need to understand is we need to approach with faith. That is how we approach your mother, right? So we need to approach with faith. So the problem with us is like, okay, God is there. Now I have a problem in front of me. Okay, Krishna, this is the problem. This is the solution. Kindly make this happen. That is not how we approach Krishna, or that's not how we approach any of the scriptures, right? Okay, so this is the problem. So now that I trust you because you want to make me learn something out of that particular problem, I need to reorient my life in a particular direction now when I'm put in front of that particular problem. So I need more clarity. Clarity comes when your intelligence is superior than your mind, and when your intelligence is superior in spiritual wisdom, not material wisdom. So when you have the spiritual wisdom, what Krishna says in Gita is, when you are aligned in the spiritual path of life, your material path of life is a byproduct of the spiritual journey. So in your spiritual journey, when you start following dharma, right? So in the material life, you follow dharma. So when you follow dharma, properly, automatically money will come. In spiritual life is now how you are utilizing that particular money and with what intention you are practicing that dharma. That is spiritual life. Even in spiritual life, you basically now say that when you keep reading Bhagavad Gita and when you follow dharma and do your duties with the intention of serving Krishna, then and you keep reading scriptures, the artha, the meaning or the purpose will automatically be revealed to you, right? And when that meaning is revealed to you, then dharma, artha, what is the third one? Kama, your lust, your unfulfilled desires, all that desires will now start orienting towards the desire of Krishna. So who doesn't like to make money? I love to make money. Personally, I'm doing two full-time jobs, two full-time contract positions. I love to make money. Now, how am I utilizing that money is the question, right? I'm not giving up any of my jobs or anything. So now I see that as a service to Krishna, right? So you need to maintain your particular body by following Sanatana Dharma or Varnashrama Dharma. You act according to your station in life, right? Based on, and your station in life is determined by what qualities you possess, whether you are a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. That is doesn't come by birth. You acquire qualities, and depending on these qualities, your Varna is decided. And your ashrama, whether you are a student, a brahmachari, or a married person or a grihastha. And that is called as Varna Ashrama Dharma. You do the Dharma according to that. So I use this particular body and job as a catalyst so that I can progress further in my spiritual journey. So now I will be dealing with my job with a sense of detachment, right? So I won't be too worried about, what's telling to me so much. I'll go, I do my responsibilities, and I make sure that I'm not committing any mistakes. I give my 100%. And rest, what happens is unchangeable, right? And if somebody else is committing some mistakes and if something goes wrong, so a lot of people will say that, I have to do this because we are heavily understaffed. I'll have to take the responsibility because that problem comes in when job becomes your object of satisfaction, right? That is what is called as workaholic. When alcohol becomes your object of satisfaction, it's called as alcoholic. So when the object of satisfaction is actually Krishna, if we have that particular faith that Krishna is also a person, and then everything we approach in life, if we see that as an object of, you know, like Krishna is in the center and Krishna is the object of satisfaction. So by doing this particular work, I'm able to be situated in a proper varnashram dharma, a proper varnashram system. So you being situated in a particular state of life is just a catalyst for your spiritual life. That should not become your identity. So, right now, the shloka, what we are going to say is what Krishna, when Arjuna starts asking the question in the second chapter, this is where Krishna starts answering first, right? Where the lesson of resilience can be learned here. So, step one is being aware of who you are. integrating that completely in your day-to-day life, right? So when you say integrate that completely in your day-to-day life, appreciation is different and realization is different. Appreciation is reading the content and saying it is good. When you have realized means, which means you actually start following the instructions which Krishna has given to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. That is why we took you to the complete introductory course. So now let's go to the shloka. Let's read two shlokas today with which we can learn. So if you go to the book, chapter 2, text number 13, and the first you will see the Sanskrit texts. Okay, so this is how the book is structured. And then you see the transliterations, the same Sanskrit texts in English words which you can read. And then there is a word-to-word meaning as well. And then the translation of that particular verse, and then purport, which is the Acharya's commentary. So this is how your entire Bhagavad Gita is structured. Okay. So now if you see how to read this, I will say one particular tune and one of you can read the next shloka. Okay. So this I will read the first shloka. So see one particular tune and there are like various tunes in which you can read. Okay. So Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yaunam jara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati. Word to word meaning. Dehina, of the embodied. Asmin, in this. Yata, as. Dehe, in the body. Kaumaram, boyhood. Yauvanam, youth. Jara, A with a dash on top. A becomes A. It's called as Jara. And similarly, a dot below a letter, right? It's called Dehinaha. So Jara, old age. And this becomes Tatha, similarly. Deha Antara, of transcendence of the body. Praptiha, achievement. Dhiraha, the sober. Tatra, thereupon. Na, never. Muhyati, is deluded. Translation: as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So things around us is meant to be changing, right? So whether how we can utilize that particular change, and in every particular adversity, trust me guys, there will be an opportunity, 100%. Whether we are able to see that opportunity or not is the question. There will be a learning opportunity. At the same time, there will also be a growing opportunity. And you will be able to understand all of this only if you're able to see things with a spiritual vision, with which the vision which Krishna is showing to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. So that is why Bhagavad Gita becomes like a user manual for our day-to-day life. So let's see what Prabhupada's commentary on that particular verse, right? So the Acharyas, whom we call as Bhakti Yogis, they are realized souls, right? They are called as Paramahamsas, which means they are living by the principles of Bhagavad Gita and they have dedicated their lives to teach Krishna's instructions in Gita for the benefit of humanity, so that more and more people can absorb the spiritual knowledge. That's why it's called an Acharya. So let's see what our Acharya Srila Prabhupada has given the commentary. Since every living entity is an individual soul, each is changing his body every moment, manifesting sometimes as a child, sometimes as a youth, and sometimes as an old man. So we saw that in our first class. When you are a child, you have a different type of body. When you are a boy, you have a different type of body. And when you are an adult, you have a different type of body. And when you are old, you have a different type of body. And our cells keep regenerating Every 7 years, it is not an overnight process, but it is a gradual process now, which gives you a different form of body. So our body keeps changing. Yet, the same spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change. And this we saw in the first few minutes of our class, right? To understand around us, if there is a change, there needs to be a reference point. Without reference point, you cannot understand that, okay, this is changing. So how much we are aware of that reference point will determine how deeply you can see what is the situation in front of you. It is directly proportional. So awareness of your soul, awareness of your state of consciousness, which means integrating the principles of Bhagavad Gita in your life. So say, for example, chanting the Maha Mantra on Tulsi beads opens up your intelligence to absorb spiritual knowledge. The word mantra has two syllables, man and tra. Man means mind and tra means delivering your mind. So a mantra, it is supposed to be delivering your mind. And now let's understand what is mandir. Two syllables, man and dhir. Man means mind and dhir, this means to stabilize or make it steady. So a temple is like a hospital for us where it helps us to make our mind steady. Now I go to temple, I feel good because there are positive vibrations, because there are people with positivity. And why, from where is that positivity coming from? That is coming from the deities. They are not just stones made of marble. We invoke the potency of Krishna by chanting specific Vedic mantras. And we also saw in the first few classes how sound vibrations, transcendental sound vibrations, right? These will chanted at a particular frequency in a particular way, it purifies your mind automatically. Modern psychology has given us solutions to calm your mind, but they have not given us solutions to purify your mind. Only mantras can purify your mind. So that is why everything starts from chanting, right? So when we are integrating this lifestyle, when an adversity comes to you, you will have much, much better clarity and a better vision, and you can discriminate whether that is actually a problem, how much attention I need to give to that particular problem. So this is how spiritual solutions work. So you need to integrate it into your lifestyle. So let's see what Prabhupada says. This individual soul finally changes the body at death and transmigrates to another body. And since it is sure to have another body in the next birth, either material or spiritual. So if you perform all your duties according to Krishna's instructions in Gita, then you will not be given this material body in your next life. You'll be a liberated soul coming out of birth and death, and your spiritual form, according to your desire in which you want to serve Krishna, you will take that form in the spiritual world. So that is the meaning, either material or spiritual. There was no cause for lamentation by Arjuna on the account of death, neither for Bhishma nor for Drona, for whom he was so much concerned. So the concern which Arjuna has, Drona was my guru, Bhishma was my relative, they're all great warriors. How can I even kill my own kinsmen? So Krishna says, why is there such a pollution in your mind? That's what Krishna says. I'll come to your question, Kunal, after this paragraph. So rather, he should rejoice for their changing bodies from old to new ones as they're rejuvenating their energy. Such changes of body account for varieties of enjoyment or suffering according to one's own work and life. So Bhishma and Drona, being noble souls, are surely going to have spiritual bodies in their next life because they are performing their duties according to our Krishna, or at least life in heavenly bodies for superior enjoyment. If you are not performing bhakti clearly, but if you are still following the principles of dharma and you have not derived your artha, which means above earth there are seven planetary systems, and below earth there are seven hellish planetary systems. Above earth there are seven heavenly planetary systems. So, which means you are technically accumulating good karma. So, worst case, even if they have not performed any bhakti in their life, Even if you are still being good and following dharma, then you will have a superior form of body where you can enjoy more in the heavenly planets. And when that karma is exhausted, you come down to the current state, the current planet Earth, where you can again practice bhakti. The only way to get out of this cycle of birth and death is by performing bhakti yoga. At least in the heavenly bodies, for superior enjoyment of material existence. Superior enjoyment of material existence. So in either case, there was no cause of lamentation. Any man who has perfect knowledge of constitution of the individual soul, the super soul, and nature, both material and spiritual, is called as dhira. Dhira means the one who is steady, one who is a sober man. Such a man is never deluded by the change of bodies. So anything around you which is changing in this world is a duality. Things keep changing with time. We're all bound by time. So we should not get confused because a certain thing around us is changing. How we can adapt, how we can go from that. That is what is important. The Mayavadi theory of oneness of the spirit soul cannot be entertained on the ground that the spirit soul cannot be cut into pieces as a fragmental portion. Such cutting into different individual souls would make the supreme soul cleavable or changeable against the principle of supreme souls unchangeable. So we are all part and parcel of Krishna, right? So what do you mean by part? A part means we have certain qualities, and a parcel means we are a separate entity with certain qualities, spiritual qualities. So there is no concept of merging here, right? So when we are part and parcel of Krishna, Krishna is full in himself. So what Prabhupada is trying to say here is, just because we are a parcel of Krishna doesn't mean he is losing some potency. And at that same time, it doesn't mean we become one. We will always be a parcel, and we will have to understand that Krishna is the super soul we saw in the previous class. So you have Atma and you have Paramatma, and we saw how Krishna comes and sits as Paramatma in your heart. So understanding that you are a parcel of the super soul and both are different entities, now you have to revive the relationship between the soul and the super soul. And the process of cultivating that relationship is Bhakti Yoga. So the moment you start cultivating the relationship and follow the process of Bhakti Yoga, then all the adversities, what we think as problems, what we perceive as reality, that will start changing. The way you see the world will start changing. Yes, Kunal, before I move on, I'll take your question.
So I had two questions.
Yes.
We First of all, you talked about the planets, the heavenly planets and the hellish planets.
Yes.
Um, so when we say below and above, I mean, is it in terms of height, or is it like where are they located in the universe?
Okay. So it's a plane, right? So Earth is a particular plane, and when I say above, it's actually on the height. So I'll send you a diagram, just remind me, that will tell you. So the entire cosmology, if you want, if you're really keen to understand the Vedic cosmology, I can send you a set of lectures which my mentor has given that will give you a very, very in-depth view of cosmology. And this is there in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5. And whatever session he is given is churned out of different Puranas, and everything is not there in one place. So what is the difference between what is the location of each planet, and what is the difference between the Earth planet and the heavenly planets, and how many heavenly planets are there? And beyond that heavenly planets, there are like different coverings of Earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And that covering will go for certain millions of kilometers. Okay, and this is just one universe. So I will send you the structure of that one particular universe on WhatsApp group so that everybody will understand. And there are like where Brahma is sitting, where the rishis are sitting, everything will be clear in that. So what's your next question?
So can we view these planets? Like, are they visible, or it's not visible to human eye?
So these planets are not visible to human eye. But when Krishna says in Gita with Ashtanga Yoga, so when you perfect that yogic state, so some people, so I was expecting you guys to ask this question in the class of science of yoga where I was mentioning. So every yoga has a pathway. Whether this particular age suits that process is the question. So when we see some yogis, I mentioned this in one of the class, there are yogis who have still perfected the Ashtanga Yoga, the 8 limbs, practicing with all the rules and regulations. They have perfected state of Ashtanga Yoga. So what they can do, they can just travel with their mind to higher planets and they go ask questions to the sages and they come back. This is very much possible. But how it is possible? They would have done so much and they would have been desiring for that particular perfection from deep inside their soul based on all the previous births they had. You have no clue how many millions of births they have taken. So that is why Krishna says all the other yoga process, say jnana yoga, it is a process where you cultivate intelligence and then you perceive Krishna. And the Ashtanga yoga, it is the eightfold yoga system where you start with rules, regulations, yama, niyama, asana. Okay, that's the top three. You sit in a particular position and you start meditating. So now, both these yoga systems, the problem is it starts with you. The effort is with you, the effort is from you. So it's a bottom-up approach. I mentioned this as well. So when you have a bottom-up approach, you will have to struggle yourself. Let's take, always remember this particular story. A small monkey, big monkey, and baby kitten, mother kitten. So these two yoga process. So when a baby monkey wants to move from one position to another position, it has to latch itself to the mother monkey and mother monkey jumps. Okay. So when the mother monkey is jumping, if something is wrong, the baby monkey is not holding properly, then the baby monkey will fall down. So the effort is whose? The baby monkey's effort. So similarly, that is the Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. The effort is completely yours. You will have to struggle. But with Bhakti Yoga, what Krishna says, the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Give up all religions and surrender unto me. So which is, take the mother kitten and the baby kitten. When the baby kitten wants to move from one position to another, the mother kitten carries the baby kitten in its mouth. It literally does not have to worry. So the more conscious state of awareness about our soul and your trust and faith in Krishna and your surrender to Krishna, which means it's a top-down approach. So Bhakti Yoga is a top-down approach. That mercy will come from Krishna. And when you progress in your spiritual life, all the material duties according to your Varna and Ashram, your qualities is a byproduct and it will automatically come to you. So when you follow Dharma, in the way in which Krishna says in Gita, you will get material prosperity, but at the same time, you will not be attached to that particular money. If your bhakti is pure, and you will use that money in service of Krishna. You keep some for your family maintenance, some for your emergency purposes. And just because more money is that we won't keep increasing our needs, we won't keep increasing our bodily comforts, whatever is bare minimum, and use that money which Krishna has given to you for helping other people progress in their spiritual journey or in their self-realization process. So this is the level of understanding which we need to have about Bhakti Yoga. So to answer your question, coming back to the question, yes, you can attain a perfected state of Ashtanga Yoga, but that is really, really difficult. And yes, some people are attending that as well, and they're attaining that as well. And it is very much possible. And with your mind, you can, go and travel to other planets and then come back. But with your physical body and with your physical eyes, you cannot see. So when your soul right now, it's in conditioned state, right? You're basically the light is white. Okay, our consciousness is not clean as white paper. So the reflection, our consciousness has a lot of colors on it. So the reflection now is coming with so much of illusions. So when you are in a complete purified state of mind and when you meditate, the science of spiritual life, the Bhakti Yoga process, which is there in the Vedas and all the other literatures, it says that you will, the different Visions will manifest in your heart. When you go deep down in the meditation, some people see the four-handed Paramatma or Vishnu. Some people can even go to different planets and see what's happening. Some people can even go to the spiritual planets and they can even meditate on the form of the Lord or the pastimes of the Lord in the spiritual planet. It is technically possible. That is a deep, deep science of Bhakti Yoga. As in, when you grow, when you practice 10 years or 15 years, there are different literatures which you can read. It's a journey where all this will be clearly explained. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, Prabhuji, one more question.
Yeah.
Do we have time or?
Yeah, we have time. Yeah.
My question is, you mentioned about the concept of workaholic and how,
Yeah.
because we are sometimes some people are workaholic and they get obsessed that
Yes.
they take full responsibility and they think that
Yes.
it will, and that's why they get all mental, if you like, agitation, and
Yes.
also ultimately they find they find that they lose their peace of mind.
Mm.
My question to you is that often this happens when you're giving 100% to what you're doing,
Mm.
particularly in a work scenario. And so that balance to say that this is not something I need to worry. So basically, you mentioned very rightly that that is because you're trying to find joy or satisfaction through that particular object or whatever that might be, the work or whatever that is. But you need to deviate from that and think that that is a byproduct, or say, for example, that is happening, but that's not where I'm going to derive my true soul peace or happiness or love or whatever you might call that. So how that balance comes, that is the question. How because when you're putting 100%, whatever, wherever that work business is, then you are you to put that 100%, you have to be so focused.
Yes. Correct.
How that balance will come is my question.
Yes. So how the balance comes, it's a very, very good question. So the balance comes from your spiritual practice, the mental equilibrium. So say, for example, this level of thinking, first, right now we all have, there are like different stages of devotion, there are different stages in spiritual practice. Right now we are starting with a small faith, right? So we see somebody practicing or we encounter Bhagavad Gita and somewhere somebody is trying to explain a concept deeply. So when you start practicing, the faith increases, right? Because you will see the growth and you will see the results. So that you will be able to find that perfect balance depending on your sincerity in your spiritual practice. So say, for example, when Kunal asked the question, can we see? How can we see Krishna? It's a brilliant question. I'm getting this realization as we speak. So take ears. Your ears are in this particular shape. Now you cut the two ears, you'll see the shape of a heart. You can see Krishna through your ears and not your eyes. Because when you hear more about Krishna, automatically the attraction comes and Krishna will manifest in your heart. That is the level of understanding which some of the old, very old acharyas, 4 5 centuries back, they give. This is the explanation. So this balance comes in with the intention and sincerity at your heart with which you are performing or taking up the spiritual knowledge as a lifestyle, how much you're integrating with it. Because the one problem with stress is I have too many things to do in very less time, right? So when you take up spiritual practice, automatically you'll start getting up early in the morning, right? You'll be supercharged. You get up in the morning and the first thing you sit with the beats and you chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, say 15 minutes or 20 minutes, that recharges your intelligence, that recharges your entire body. So now that is the actual science, because now let's see from a modern scientific perspective, right? What they say in the modern other yoga practices or the meditation centers, the quote unquote, what they say is you meditate early in the morning because that is the time in which the cosmic energy can be absorbed in your body properly. And they say like a pyramid meditation or triangular meditation, which is true. And even Bhagavad Gita says the same thing. We call it as Brahma Muhurta. So anything you do auspicious on the Brahma Muhurta will actually have various benefits. So we take that opportunity, automatically your whole day will be structured. You will start time management And the way you'll be like, it's called as fast charging. Now imagine we all have fast chargers, right? So sometimes say 0 to 50 per 90% will get charged in 25 minutes in your phone or your batteries. So now when you say balance or when you say dealing with stress, you need to have that supercharging capacity. I can get up at 9 o'clock and then do all my work, and then I can do all my day-to-day routine. But if I do it at 4 o'clock, it's basically supercharging. So your whole day will become organized, your whole life will become organized. So this is how you integrate a spiritual lifestyle in your day-to-day life. So when you automatically integrate, then you will be better managed with time, you'll be better managed with stress, and your efficiency will increase by twofold easily. So this balance or the mental equilibrium comes with the level of intensity of your practice, the spiritual practice, and your trust and faith. And the most important thing is consistency. Doesn't matter that, I have a practice because I've accepted a guru, and I wake up and I'll have to do 16 rounds of this mala every single day. And I follow the four relative principles very, very strictly. Now, in spite of all these two jobs and all these other commitments, I'm able to still balance my spiritual life, and I'm able to still balance my other activities for teaching people. From where that comes? It's a top-down approach. The mercy comes from Krishna. He gives you that potency to balance things around if the intention or the sincerity in your heart is pure. And some people may genuinely have less time, right? They'll have to get up. You'll have two kids to look after. You'll have to make breakfast for the kids, send them to school. They might not have time to chant 16 rounds, but they will have the desire. When the desire is there, then all the arrangements, when the spiritual path, if you go, all the arrangements will be made by Krishna for you to fulfill your desire. Now, whether you have a spiritual desire or material desire is the question here. So automatically that balance will come with time, the intensity of the practice, and consistency. Does that answer your question, Mataji?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah,
What does
sure.
what does one do if he or she doesn't have desire to do bhakti?
So you always have your choice to make, right? So Krishna never steals the independence from you. Let's take this example, right? So say when you go to a doctor, a patient goes to a doctor, the doctor gives various treatment options. And from the treatment options, the doctor will say, these are the treatment options. You can do whatever you want. And the patient asks the doctor, what is your recommendation? Then the doctor will give a recommendation. So this is how whole Bhagavad Gita works, right? Krishna didn't plan to go give a lecture there. Depending on Arjuna's questions and doubts, he explored various options for Arjuna, the treatment options for purification of mind. So after giving all the treatment options, Krishna didn't take away the independence from Arjuna. Now that I have given the knowledge, you do whatever you want. So it is your independence. You can exercise your independence any point in time. See, whether you turn your face towards Krishna, whether you turn your face away from Krishna, that is completely your one's own personal choice. So the knowledge is there in front of you. Assimilate, dissect, see the knowledge from different dimensions. That is where you use your intelligence, you exercise your intelligence, and then you take an action. So nobody's spirituality can go in as a suggestion or a recommendation. It can never go as, imparting into others. The imparting, you see here, the super soul is there in your heart. Krishna is there in your heart as Paramatma. This is science. This is the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So if you turn towards a super soul, then the super soul will actually impart the knowledge. It will reveal. The super soul will reveal what has to be revealed to you. So what we all can do as instruments and show this is the pathway, this is the direction what Krishna says in Gita. So whatever choice you make is completely based on your independence. How intensely you want to practice is completely depending on how you cultivate your faith. And how faith comes in when you associate with people who have that particular faith. That is how you cultivate faith. Now, if you're Somebody is saying that, this is how life has to be led. Your mom says, okay, you'll have to grow, you'll have to go and study, you have to do 12 years of studies and 4 years of bachelor's, another couple of years of master's, and you have to get married. You're doing all of this because you have faith in your parents. So now, if you have faith in Krishna's instruction in Gita, then whatever Krishna says in Gita will happen. But at the same time, you can just go through Gita as well and then do whatever you want. Nobody is stopping you. So I went to a presentation with one of my friend. He's doing PhD in religious studies. So we went to the University of Sydney. We went to the philosophy club, all intellect heads studying Western philosophy, all different types of philosophy. So we went taking the Eastern way of thinking, which Ramanujacharya, with Jiva Goswami from Gaudiya Vaishnava, some Ramanujacharya from Vishishtadvaitam, Madhvacharya from Dvaita, the Eastern way of thinking, which is from the Indian philosophy. And then he presented, I was just showing Prasadam by the way, and he was academically qualified to present in a language. And they all understood, and we gave the book references, and it is up to them. The only hope was they start taking the Eastern way of thinking seriously and not be only having one line of or one school of philosophical thought on the Western way, which mostly leads to atheism or non-believers in God or becoming agnostic. So your independence, nobody can take from you. And only because of our independence, we are here in this material world. If we exercise our independence correctly, we'll be in the spiritual world. So we are all looking for pleasures. We are all looking for object of satisfaction, but we are actually trying to grab and chase with all these temporary pleasures. We try to grab it from one place. We try to chase it, chase behind happiness. But if bhakti yoga, if you practice, that will be poured at you unlimitedly from Krishna. We are going for something finite. So if we exercise our independence correctly, right, like that contention which you get by, possessing things or all the enjoyment, you will get that sense of joy or contention from the super soul within. So it's basically end of the day what makes you feel satisfied, right? So here Krishna is the object of satisfaction. He is the reservoir of pleasure. So only the reservoir can keep fulfilling all your desires unlimitedly, infinitely. So that is how we see infinity. Does that answer your question, Kunal?
It does, but what I meant was, I mean, bhakti has to be, it has to come from within. It cannot be
Yes.
forced upon. So
Yes.
how does one, what does one do if it's not coming from within? Then it means like I'm forcefully doing something for the sake of.
Exactly. So you see people who are living by example. So that's why when I sent you the spiritual handbook, right? A, B, C, D, E. So it is a hypothesis. So when you associate with like-minded people, you cultivate that taste and it'll automatically develop as a habit and you will see the results. So you follow the experiment, you can see the results. So
Okay.
association is the pillar. If you see that PDF I mentioned, right? Association is the pillar. So when you start roaming with like-minded people and see how they live, then that interest will come from within. You should have the desire to cultivate that interest. That's it. If you're strongly desiring, then automatically the reciprocation from Super Soul will be that he will put you in touch with people who can help you cultivate that desire or cultivate that taste. So that is the science of the process of Bhakti Yoga. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll just quickly read through this purport. Maybe we'll see a few other verses in the next class. So as confirmed in Gita, the fragmental portions of Supreme exist eternally, Sanatana, and are called as Shara. That is, they have a tendency to fall down into material nature. So now here Prabhupada is talking about us, the jivas, we are the souls. We have a tendency to fall down, turn our face away from Krishna. These fragmental portions are eternally so, and often after liberation, the individual soul remains the same, fragmental. But once liberated, he lives an eternal life in bliss and knowledge with the personality of Godhead. Prabhupada is talking about the spiritual world here. So see how much amount of knowledge Prabhupada is giving inside one particular purport. So you'll get to learn Sanskrit, you will get to learn word by word meaning, or even if you just read the translation and the purport. So all these purports, right, the Acharya's commentary or Acharya's realizations based on Upanishads reading and Puranas reading. It is not a mental speculation. So all of this is after a very careful study and churning of the Upanishads and Puranas. So one need not, and if you see most of the places Prabhupada have quoted which Upanishad is taking from. If you see the Bhagavad Gita glossary, which are all the Upanishads, which are all the Puranas Prabhupada has referred for this commentary, everything will be there. So that is how, right, like in the initial, even I never thought I'll end up practicing Bhakti Yoga unless and until I came across Prabhupada and his books. That is how my faith increased in Prabhupada. So the theory of reflection can be applied to the supersoul who is present in each and every individual body and is known as the Paramatma. He is different from individual living entities. We are not one. We are one in, say, a little bit of quality, but never in quantity. When the sky is reflected in water, the reflections represent both the sun and the moon and the stars also. The stars can be compared to the living entities and the sun or the moon to the Supreme Lord. The individual fragmental spirit soul is represented by Arjuna. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead is Krishna. They are not on the same level, as it will be apparent in the beginning of the fourth chapter. If Arjuna is on the same level with Krishna, and Krishna is not superior to Arjuna, then the relationship of instructor and instructed becomes meaningless. If both of them are deluded by illusory energy Maya, then there is no need of being the instructor and the other the instructed. So this again explains, and if we say that, we are God, everything is one, we go and merge with God. So Prabhupada explains this beautifully here, right? So a lot of people, the way they see, right, they don't understand, God as a person. They see the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna as consciousness talking to super consciousness, or the super consciousness is merging, like it's guiding the consciousness to merge into the consciousness. So this is how they come with an understanding. So, but we saw what is Vaishnavism, right? What is the most perfect understanding of Vedanta is Vaishnavism, which is what Ramanujacharya started, and we follow all the four bona fide sampradayas, right? So Vaishnavism means personalism. Humans are made after the form of God is a scriptural understanding from all the Shastras. And how can life come out from an energy? So that energy is true, but that is a form of Krishna. So Krishna is the sun, then the rays of the sun rays, that is the supreme energy we are talking about. So that is how we understand. So we always see from a personalistic perspective. So Prabhupada is clarifying the Mayavadi theory here, because nowadays everybody can come up with their own understanding, because Sanskrit is very, very complicated. The grammar and the subject matter is really, really complicated. The words which the sequence of words also matters. And just one line on top of one word can change the whole meaning of that particular sentence. So different people interpreted it, fragmentally. In Prabhupada, you see how many times he has used the word fragmental, right? So whenever we read scriptures, we have to read it from a contextual perspective. You cannot read one verse and take the meaning of that one verse. So that's why I wanted to read two verses, because you can see the previous verse and the current verse. You'll have to see it from a contextual perspective. The scriptures has to be read contextually. So a lot of people, they just Google learn Sanskrit, and they have a different understanding of Gita, the consciousness talking to super consciousness. So again, going back, such instruction would be useless, because in the clutches of Maya, no one can be authoritative instructor. Under the circumstances, it is admired that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord, superior in position to the living entity, Arjuna, who is a forgetful soul, deluded. So we are all bewildered, and we are all getting confused with all the different changes. So if you are, the lesson from today for crafting resilience is, the more and more you are clear with your identity, and the more and more you ground yourself towards the purpose of life, the perspective in which you see adversity, the way in which you deal with the problems, everything will become a lot more easier. Smooth life. So I'll stop here for today and I'll take questions. Any questions based on what we understood from today, from dealing with obstacles in life? This is the very, very basic. So next we will see different techniques for purifying your mind, different techniques for purifying your intelligence, different techniques. So we will pick corresponding shloka and we will contextualize it and we will read it. So any questions? Any questions so far from what we have read today?
There was in the purport, there was a description about the manifestation of how the soul takes another body.
Mhm.
So if the soul doesn't manifest anything, does that mean it gets liberated if it doesn't have any manifestation?
Right. So if your desires are pure and if you have performed all your dharma as per Krishna's instructions in Gita, which means you will not take a material body, you will be elevated directly to the spiritual planets according to the mood in which you want to serve Krishna, and you will be given a spiritual form, which is eternal.
Okay.
So that's the understanding. Any other questions?
Just one question, if that's all right.
Yes, sure.
Know how this has been repeatedly emphasized, the Brahma Muhurat, the 3:40 a.m. time. But practically speaking, I'm very sorry to say this, but I've tried so many times. The issue is that by afternoon, it becomes almost impossible to sustain any focus, concentration, because I think the farthest I've been able to cope is around 5 or maybe just around that 5 mark, but 3:30 is, or because 3:40, if you got to be in attention, then you got to be at least waking up at 3:20 or 3:15.
Yes.
So practically, what has been your experience? Because we can only gain inspiration from your own experiences. I think that's the idea, not necessarily trying to judge or anything.
Yes,
It's
I
just
get
to
you.
find inspiration from people who are able to do it.
So practically speaking, right? So I have tried this. So now say for example, a human body, this modern science also says, and Bhagavad Gita also says, a human body needs 6 to 8 hours of sleep, right? So now it's a wonderful question. Now, how do we adapt to this lifestyle? So if I need 6 to 8 hours of sleep on an average, okay, what matters is what time I eat my dinner, how much time I'm giving for my body to process that dinner, how heavy I'm having my dinner, what time I'm sleeping. So to get up at 3:30, you'll have to sleep at least 7 hours before, which is 8:30 to 9. 8 to 8:30 you have to sleep. So then your normal vegetables take 40 minutes to digest. If you're eating with rice, it takes 1.5 hours to digest. So to sleep at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, which means you have to finish your dinner by 5:30 or 6. That is how you'll have to organize. At the same time, now Prabhupada, he used to sleep only for like 3 to 4 hours. So what Shastras say, different Puranas, what they say is the amount of time you sleep before 12 o'clock, your body will get double the rest. So what Prabhupada used to do, Prabhupada used to go to bed by 9:30 and he gets up at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. He was that clever and he used to translate books. So from 9:30 to 12, the 2.5 hours of time, if you have a sound sleep, that is equivalent to getting the sleep of 5 hours. That is what our Shastras say. So this is how you actually balance. So Brahma Muhurta is technically 1 to 1.5 hours before sunrise. So it is not necessary we'll all have to get up at 3:40 is not actually Brahma Muhurta is 1 to 1.5 hours before sunrise and 1 hour after sunrise. That is a calculation. So we try to utilize 30 to 45 minutes of that particular time for your spiritual practice. Start slowly. We all know we are all here. Okay, so I am also somewhere here. We are all on the same boat. So today I woke up at 7 o'clock because I was not able to sleep on time. So I finished my chanting and I attended all my classes from there. So you will have good days and you will have bad days, right? But we all know what we have to aspire, right? We know what is the most perfected stage. So we should always desire for growth. So how I balance it is sometime during my holidays and all, like 4 months I was not working. I just took a break. So I used to get up at 5 o'clock. I go to temple, I do some chanting rounds, I attend the morning arati, and then I go to library and read Prabhupada's books. I just wanted to sit with our scriptures for 4 months and see how the life is. And I learned a lot. It was really, really beneficial. And all of that people don't teach it here. So now if you see, right, like I try to wake up, at least you'll have to go baby steps, small goals. So what you can do is set a weekly target. Okay, weekly 2 days. I'll try to get up early. Once a week, I'll try to go to temple. So start with small steps. We know eventually, right? When our desires are pure, Krishna will actually make the arrangements. But at the same time, we all don't want to be fanatics here, right? Your body would have been used to something. Your body would have been used to some diet already. Your body would have been used to some lifestyle. So drastically changing will have adverse physical effects. So we need to make a slow, gradual transition with small goals so that we feel contented from whatever our day-to-day life. Just able to see that you just must be able to measure that small growth. Right. So when you do that small practice or habit change, say weekly 2 days, you try to get up early and then try to chant. Fix a number, say certain number of rounds how you want to chant. Right. And I will whenever I find time, weekly I'll do the arati. I'll do 1 or 2 aratis in my home. At least weekly once I'll try to make offering. I'll cook some fresh food and offer Krishna. So all the small goals. So slowly you can do. And if you get up definitely at 3:30 or 4 or 3:20, at least you have to get up and active, then you have to finish your dinner by 5 o'clock and you'll have to hit bed by 7:30 latest. So
The issue
yeah.
is not getting up at 3 or 3:30. The issue is that after you finish everything, let's say by about 6 a.m., that's you feel tempted that maybe I should sleep for half an hour so that then I don't feel it doesn't impact my focus or concentration during the day. So that temptation is always there. And then when you sleep that half an hour, that really spoils many things, I think, in retrospect.
Again, depends, right? Like sometimes if you really feel sleepy, which means your body is getting rest, what modern science says is that particular power nap will be really useful and really helpful. So you can always take a power nap and take a quick shower. That will actually re-energize. So we don't have to, completely take things so seriously, right? It will take it's a gradual process. It's not an overnight process. So you can set like small goals and you will first have to understand your own body. What is your body responding to? Because if your body and mind are not in sync, then practicing becomes really hard. So it comes by practice. So you can start with small goals, and it's okay initially if you feel like sleeping, sleep. There is no hard and fast rule. So that's what, right? Krishna knows what you're whispering in your heart. He's after the intention in your heart. He's not going to punish or he's not going to, hold the benefits we get out of bhakti yoga because our body is not coping up with it. Right? So everybody practice within their capacity. So initially, like you always aspire higher, but if you're not able to get up, it is okay. Few days, if you're not able to get up, it is okay. It's absolutely, but at least once a week or twice a week, have a small goal in whatever capacity you can, you practice. Because as in when people get old, not always they are able to get up at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Sometimes you get up at least 6 o'clock, but try to, 6:30 can be still a very decent time to get up with, between 6 to 6:30. Because as students now, a lot of people are students here. They'll all have assignments. Sometimes they'll do, late at the nights, and sometimes you'll have to sit with other people and do. So
Sometimes all night.
realistically, yeah, very true. So realistically, how much we can do when we have that trust and intention, then automatically other things will be arranged. in the
It's
previous day?
working this way, like if we're gonna be thinking like before sleeping, subconscious mind is
Mm,
working. And at that time, if we will set up our goal for tomorrow, like really focus our mind, we're gonna do
mm,
this, and then
mm,
straight away we wake up at that time as well, subconscious mind is active. And if
mm,
we're gonna think we're gonna do this now, and then and we if we'll start doing the same thing for at least 1 week, and it's just habit for now. Like for me, as soon as I get up, I have to go to bathroom, have shower,
mm,
fresh up, and I'm doing aarti puja, and then chanting,
mm,
and then reading the Bhagavad Gita, and then having my breakfast. Otherwise, like
mm.
now I can't stop myself. As soon as I get up, I have to enter
Yes.
the bathroom, shower, chanting, like that became my
Mm,
habit now. So I just force myself for like 3-4 days
mm,
and to do the things and like to process my mind.
mm.
And now it's just a habit. I just have to do it. Like I can't control my mind.
No, thank you
So,
for sharing. That was lovely.
yeah,
Thank you very
you
much.
will automatically, right? Like when you practice it for a certain number of
Yeah,
days, you'll
and
be able to integrate it, internalize it.
it's like
Mm,
before sleeping, like 10-15 minutes, 20 minutes before sleeping, if we are half sleep, that time our subconscious mind is active.
mm,
Whatever we think, that's go in our mind and process the mind consciously, and that's how our mind work. If you
mm,
want like positive affirmation, you can listen from the YouTube as soon as
mm,
like before sleeping and after getting up, then like whole day will be like so powerful and so
mm.
motivated. It's just amazing.
Nice, nice. Thanks for sharing your experience.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
It's just a book from Power of Subconscious Mind. There is a lot of
Text
positive motivation here.
techniques to manage your mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good way because modern science, what they say, anything you practice continuously for a 40 days, you'll be able to integrate it as a habit.
And there is video as well in the YouTube, like before sleeping, um to process your mind, even if you get
Mm,
up, just to motivate the mind for 21 days, and then it will become habit.
mm,
For me, it's just I practice for 5 to 6
mm.
days, and then now it's just like I'm used to. Just have to do it.
Nice, nice. Very motivating. So yeah, so if you want to actually always have that aspiration, make sure that your intentions are clear and then try to set small, small goals. So here especially in growth, consistency is the key. Even if you set small goals, make sure that you're consistent, right? So the pace is not the key. For growth, consistency is the key. If anybody says that you need to do this fast, 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 you need to learn this all fast, 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 only then you'll grow. That doesn't work like that. So you invest 1 hour in a day. Start small. That's why the sadhana, the PDF I gave is like very, very elementary, very much for beginners, the techniques you follow there. So once you are able to do that 1 hour throughout the day, now do that for a month. Okay. Now the next month, what I say is do the same 1 hour for the next 2 months, but make sure you dedicate that 1 hour on a specific time of the day. Beat it. Okay, 1 hour every day, 6 to 7, non-negotiable. Do that for 3 months. Okay, you're doing one round of chanting, fine. 2 pages of book reading, fine. One small arati, fine. Regulate the timing. So consistency is the key here. So initially, okay, I'll do like one round of chanting like whenever I get up, and sometimes I do it in the evening, and then Aarti I do it on the weekend. Regulate everything. Have small, small goals. Does that make sense? You can start small and then try to mingle with people. Like Archie, you said you're in Westmead, right? Like you also wanted to know some Sattvic cooking. So I identified a person for that. So I'll just talk to them and I'll introduce, right? So once you start, they're also like family, couple, both of them are working. So once you see people of like who are having similar lifestyle, that's where association is the key, right? Now students can learn from students who are practicing as like very, very sincerely. If you mingle with that type of a crowd, you will get the different practices they adopt. So Archie being a family, being a homemaker. So if you mingle with homemakers, right? then you will get to know the practices, how they are leading a lifestyle. So we don't have to be really, really fanatics that, Krishna will be pleased only if you get up at 3:30 or 4 o'clock. Krishna will be pleased if your intention or if your heart is pure. And whatever your body is permitting, because we have acquired so much of impressions from the past. It is not possible to purify all of it, overnight. It's a gradual process. The moment you see that things are improving, you will not even realize it, that it is actually improved. Your lifestyle will change like that automatically. You won't realize. So whenever you're stuck with a problem, right, from a resilience point of view, always do a retrospect and see, especially in bhakti, see how far you have come here. So right now, like, see how many people have registered and how many people have been consistent coming through or walking along in the journey. This is the seventh class we have. So this is the 12, 13 people, and always few people have texted me, and couple of people, they really wanted to adopt the lifestyle, right? So now they have subscribed for in-person sessions in their corresponding suburbs. So we have already patched up. So if you have seen Pooja would have not been there in this session. So Pooja joined a particular session in Kellyville where they connect 2 hours in a Sunday. So then when you start roaming, they all meet on a Sunday, or some people meet on a Wednesday, some people meet on a Friday, 2 hours. They have programs for you to engage as a family, as a husband and wife, and then they will have separate program for kids at the same time. So there are like lot of around 80 to 85 study groups, out of which 50 plus groups are connecting in person. So that would be the next step, right? So when you want to, Archie, when you see people like that, when you see like homemakers or family or couples practicing who are of similar age of yours, so now that will give you an idea what type of practices you're up. So getting up 3:30 or 4 is not mandatory. So like say for example, people who are 100% dedicated to a spiritual life, they're being a brahmachari or a monk. But ideally, practically, we are all in a different varna of life, right? Our station of life is we have to work, we have to perform some karmic activities to maintain our body. So some days you might be having work, your work will call for an on-call support. Or so as a student, you might be having part-time jobs, you might have to work till 10:30. Or as a mother, you might be feeling that you're not able to put your kid to bed, or your kid is waking up in the night and disturbing. So practical reasons are also there. So at the same time, right, like spiritual life is not for retire, it's not retirement life. So we can carve our journey or carve our sadhanas, right? When we say goals, small, small goals, carve your goals in a small way, which you will be able to maintain consistency. The quantity is not the key. Quality is the key to success. Any other questions? All okay, Archie? Did I answer your question? You got some rough idea at least how we practice. So any other questions? If not, we can close the call. All right. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. See you next. And one more thing before we go. So the next week, the session will be on Sunday because we have a retreat on Friday and Saturday. So the session next week will be at Sunday 6:30 p.m. on Zoom. All right. So I'll put this in the WhatsApp group also. All good. Hare Krishna. See you next
I
week.
just want to ask you
Sure.
one question. Just like you said, you talked about there will be some program going on Easter week. Like,
Yes.
I'm not like, can you please give more explanation about it?
So we are doing a retreat. So the registrations are actually closed. So what we do is we do yoga. So like people, how you want to practice that as a lifestyle, right? So that retreat, basically what we do is we teach how to integrate the practices into your lifestyle. That is a
Oh,
fast track approach. So 2 days we'll have different programs and teach you the basic stuffs, how you can, whatever I put in the PDF, right? The spiritual handbook for modern world. So that is the actual laboratory where we'll practice whatever is there in the PDF.
oh, okay. So the
Yes.
registration has already closed.
Yes, I'll see if there's registration and let you know, but I think registrations are closed because retreat is next week. I'm not sure if
Oh, okay.
any dropouts, but we will do this retreat once
And
in 3 months or 4 months. Yes.
If
And
she
wo-
wants, she can take my place. Due to some reason, I'm unable to go.
Okay.
Like you
at
can
what
go
time
in
it's
my
going to
place.
happen?
So I'll send you all the details on WhatsApp. So
Oh,
maybe
okay,
I'll
okay.
share
That
you
will be
Nabya's number also. So I'll send you all the details on WhatsApp, the location and everything. So probably Nabya and you guys can talk for some reason if there is a slot, or I'll also check if there is one
I'm
slot.
just wondering where will be the next retreat happening.
No, no, that's okay. I'll see if I can accommodate one more person. I'll talk and I'll get back. There must be some dropouts. I'll check and I'll get back to you. Okay?
okay. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey Krishna.
Thank you.
See you
Hare
next week on
Krishna.
Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.